This is how I play the game! Oh my god! What the fuck?
Oh my god. Wow, excuse me. A nice giant belch for you. Oh. Oh my god, excuse me.
I'm gonna tell you what happened because let me put it this way. Is it a huge, crazy deal? No, but at the same time it was incredibly annoying. It took a couple hours to fix, so what happened? Why, all of a sudden, did my internet go out downstairs, and then my internet went out up here when I was on break? Why did the stream go down? What was happening? Well, here's what happened, folks. So a couple of days ago, I guess it was like 2-3 days ago, apparently, one of these, you know, websites that tends to dump, like, information from hacked websites and stuff like that. I think it's called Kiwi Farms, but don't get me wrong. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. I don't know. But this is what I was told. I guess there was some random-ass website over the years that I registered for. And when I registered for this website, I used a password. It was some gaming-related website. It was probably like you had to log into some gaming-related thing or make an account on there to do something in the game or something like that. Something dumb, right? And apparently, I registered for this random gaming website with a password.
That years ago, this password used to be the password I used for, like, everything, alright?
Now, since I moved to Washington, I changed a ton of my passwords. In fact, I actually had a scare a couple years ago where I kept getting notifications that someone might have had remote access to one of my email accounts. And at that point, what I did is I went into all of my emails, all of my YouTube accounts, my Twitch account, my Patreon, all of that stuff. And I made sure that all of those accounts had new passwords, everything was refreshed, okay? I went into all my credit card accounts, you know, all the important stuff, my bank account, and I changed everything, okay? I did so. I changed everything. All that information was changed or whatever. However, there were a few things that apparently I completely forgot about, namely really ancient stuff. Like, we're talking stuff from, like, before YouTube, some of it, alright? Some websites that over the years I had registered for and never ended up using or used once or twice, that all apparently still use this password, okay? Also, sadly, and this is my fault, when I moved out here over 3 years ago,
apparently I used this password as the initial password to register for a lot of my accounts.
Alright, so for example, you know, the stupid Comcast business internet had this password, yet my regular Comcast account for television did not. My regular Comcast account used a different password. So apparently I just, you know, when I moved out here, I was probably so stressed out with the move and everything, I had a brain fart, and I started using this old-ass password as my password for a bunch of important things, like electricity, like water, you know what I mean? Like all the things that you would think are important, and I should have put in a new password, but I used this ancient password, okay? Apparently when this happened a couple days ago, you know, this password leaked on the internet, and it was the password, you know, my name, so people assumed, oh, this must be Phil, so they started logging into things with this password, and apparently today, someone said, what, just for the hell of it, you know, let's try to log into all of Phil's accounts with this password.
And some of them worked, not all of them.
Like, for example, they were trying to get into my Google, my Yahoo, you know, all the different accounts that I have, my email accounts. They're trying to get in
to all of them, and they couldn't do that.
You know, I already have set up two-step verification for all those. The passwords are all completely different from being the old passwords. So all that's fine. But, you know, like I said, my bank account, I've long changed that shit. That stuff's all secure and fine. But for me, it was, stupidly, I had these utility accounts and stuff that were set up with this password.
And so what they did a few things. First, they went into my AT&T account, and they got my cell phone number, which is hilarious because my cell phone number is already public.
My cell phone number got leaked 2 years ago? Either 2 or 3 years ago. When I actually went to GoDaddy, okay? I went to GoDaddy and registered something through GoDaddy. I have no idea what it was. It might have been like the website registration. I don't know. But I had used well, they made you list your cell phone number. So I listed my cell phone number, and they made it fucking public. They publicly listed the goddamn thing on the website. I was like, what the fuck? Are you serious? Why would you do that? Right? So yeah, so they basically, my cell phone number's been leaked for like 2 to 3 years. And every once in a while, you know, I get troll phone calls and troll texts and whatever. What can you do, right? Well, they got this cell phone number and they put it all over the internet and people started calling it all day or whatever, right? I don't really care. Like, that's happened to me before, all right? But then they got into the Comcast business account and they were able to find out the business phone number, and also they didn't have access to, say, things like, for example, my IP address.
But they had access to resetting the modem. So that's what happened earlier today when we were streaming. They were sitting there, oh, let's be a dick to Phil. And they were clicking reset modem, reset modem.
So that's what was happening during the stream. Then they went ahead and logged into other stuff and did malicious stuff. So what I basically had to do, for the past 2 hours, is I had to basically check all of my accounts, every single, account that I possibly have, to make sure that nothing was going to be affected negatively by this. For what I can see, it won't. For what I can see, everyth's fine. I made calls and, they did, let me put it this way. I'm not going to disclose exactly what they did, but they did try to do some malicious stuff to me. In one case, it failed. It didn't work because I had a special passcode set up on one account. In another case, it did work, but luckily I had that set up, so any changes on that account, I get emails for it. And I saw the email and immediately called them. And, let them know what was going on, and they fixed it.
So, to my knowledge, I'm good now. To my knowledge, everything's fine.
Nothing of any importance is still using this ancient password that I don't use for anything anymore and haven't for 3+ years, okay? It was just really annoying that I had to basically make phone calls for about 2 hours here. Going through the motions to just make sure that everything was alright. But now, basically I've checked on everything. I checked on, all my YouTube accounts. I checked on all my email accounts. I checked on all my utilities. I checked on, all my financial accounts are fine. I also checked on, cell phone. Internet's now secure. Everything's fine, alright? So basically it was a pretty ridiculous troll attempt. Now, more than likely, let's face it, these people, it's funny, because here's the other thing, too. You say, I say, oh, they got my business line, right? Well, they did, but guess what? It already was public. My business line has always been public. So some people have already called the business line and trolled me on the business line over the years, too. So this is nothing new. It's just that now, for some reason, I guess people think because the phone numbers are public, today in particular, people are talking about it or whatever, that it would be funny to call, to prank call or whatever.
It's just really stupid. So now I gotta decide, do I want to change my phone numbers or not? I could. It would be a hassle, because if I change my phone number, now I have to notify everyone who actually contacts me about stuff that my phone number has changed. That would be a pain in the ass, of course. So I don't know. I'll think about what I'm going to do. But basically, crisis averted. It could have been, let me put it this way. It could have been really bad if these kinds of places listed important information. Alright?
So to give you an idea, some of these websites obviously had my financial information in them, right? Luckily, none of these websites actually have the full financial data. Like, anything that was set up for auto pay only has, like, the last 4 digits of the account. It doesn't have the full account number or whatever in it. So, luckily, they didn't get access to any of my financial info, which is good, because that would have been devastating. If they obviously got access to a bank account or a credit card or something like that, that would have been awful. But luckily, that didn't happen. None of these businesses list that stuff because they know they'd be liable, right? They'd be like, someone got a password, so now they get all my fucking financial data. That would be horrible.
So, I think I'm good. You have to be brain dead fucking stupid to believe that. I'm sure that, they're gonna find more stupid trollish shit to do. I'm sure I'm gonna get prank calls or whatever. It is what it is.
I'm sure they're gonna probably find a bunch of fucking accounts from ancient years ago that I've long abandoned and never did anything with. I'm sure it'll all happen, and I really don't care. You're talking about stuff that's so old at this point that, I've definitely moved on, matured. The other day, people were posting up stuff from, like, that I had said in the 1990s and 2000s on, like, some forum or on IRC or something in, like, a chat.
You know what I mean? Like, how stupid is that? who cares what happened 20 years ago? Online, you know, it was a much different era. I was a much different person.
So, there you go. That's what happened. And, you know, it took me 2 hours to get through it and call everyone and make sure everything was okay. But everything seems to be okay right now.
All right. I actually was really nervous that they had gotten my IP addresses.
Because I was like, if they got my IP addresses now, that means at any time when I'm streaming, they could shut down my modems, right? And what I would have to do is contact Comcast, have them come out here, bring a new modem. We have to do the rigmarole where there's 2 modems hooked up at once, and you capture a new IP on a new modem, and then release the other modem. I explained how to do this 2 years ago when I had to do it when I was getting DDoS attacked back then, okay? It's a really complicated, annoying process. So, yeah, I wouldn't have had to do that, alright? I mean, I would have had to do that, and I don't have to. Luckily, thank God that just logging into, say, online doesn't give you access to stuff like, for example, access to my IP address or access to my financial data and stuff like that. Doesn't. That's good. That's a good thing, so.
I was very nervous. I thought it was going to be worse than it was. Looks like it's going to be okay. Crisis averted.
But more than likely, like I said, more than likely, if anything, the most annoying thing is probably I'm going to end up having to change my phone number. Because you know that some of these people will just constantly keep calling. Even though it's funny, like I said, my phone numbers have been public for over 2 years. But, you know what I mean? How stupid was it that this even happened, first of all? You know, what? Who dumped some fucking website's data? Some website got hacked, and they dumped the data, and it just happens the password for that website was a password I used on other shit.
You know, just a bad coincidence, right? Lol. I prefer a penne. Oh! Easy to eat. Oh! Phil's a faggot. Phil's fat. Phil's a loser. Phil's a beggar. Alright, I'm not dead, but I swear to God I wish I fucking was.